Okay, so 3 of my most favorite effects that I want to teach you are going to be a part of this video. I color graded this video a while ago, and I want to show you exactly how I can make it even more amazing and cinematic using those effects. So I applied color space transform and then I used a LUT with this one. But this one was a project where I had to do minimal color grading because it was shot really amazingly and the colors and everything turned out to be great. And I deleted a couple of notes because I want to show you the whole process. So first what I'll do is I will create a new node over here and of course increase the saturation a little bit. So since it's already pretty saturated in those terms, like it looks good, I just want to increase the saturation just a little bit. Maybe bring it up to 60. And of course, I want to work on the skin. So I'm going to name it saturation. So you will have to bear with me and watch the little bit of the process that I'm doing so that you understand where those effects come in. Because I know you already know this process. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the skin, sample parts of it, increase the range. And then bring down the saturation a little bit so that it starts to look normal. This is how it was looking before. This is how it looks now, right? Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and fix the exposure a little bit, just a little bit. And then work on the overall contrast a little bit. Probably going to increase it slightly. Yep. So now it looks much better. And my skin, it's also showing me the reds and everything are falling on the same line. And I can already tell it because when I look at it, the skin looks normal to me. All right. So the next effects that I want to teach you that is called dehaze. So we're going to go to the effects section and we can either scroll down and we're going to see it, or we can just look for it. So I'm going to click and drag dehaze on top of my video and right now on top of my node, and right now it looks very bad. That's because the strength is too much. We need to reduce the strength. When you want your colors to look much more dense and you want them to look thick after you increase the saturation, that is when you bring in dehaze. So I'm going to bring it back to 0. And this is how it looks with no dehaze. And then I'm simply going to click and drag the slider slowly to the left, to the right, sorry. And then if I bring it to the left, it starts losing the density in the colors. If I bring it to the right, the colors start getting dense. So I usually use it up to like 0.2, 0.3, and I'm going to label it so that we remember exactly what we did. If I turn it off, this is how it looks. If I turn it on, this is how it's making my colors much more dense. So after fixing the saturation, I can also go ahead and use dehaze to make the colors even more dense. So if I turn it off, this is how it looks. And when I turn it on, this is how it looks. So it starts to look much more amazing. I like the whole look and feel. And then another thing that I use to work on the contrast of my video, it just makes it look so amazing, is called Contrast Pop. I will go over here and look for Contrast Pop, and I landed right on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my video. Right now it's not doing anything because I have to change the values over here. And the value that I really like to change is the detail amount. So if I bring it down, it just makes my things look smoother. If I bring it any further up than 0, that's when it starts to add that detail to my video. And you don't want to add a lot because it's going to look like this. It's going to look very weird and hideous. But I usually have it somewhere between 0.1 to 0.2. Now, if I turn it off, this is how my video looked before. This is how it looks now. So I'm going to reduce it a little bit. Maybe 2.7. Because I only want a little bit of the effect. So this is how it looked before. My image looked good, but contrast pop is adding the depth to it. So if I make it full screen, I'm going to play it once using the contrast pop node turned off. So this is how it looks without the contrast pop. And then this is how it looks with the contrast pop. It looks so much more cinematic. It has that depth to it. So this really comes in handy when I want to add that extra spice to my video. And the last FX that I want to talk to you about for now is sharpness. So there are 2 ways to add sharpness. Sometimes I like to have a lot more sharpness. That just makes my video so much more amazing. And people ask me, oh, how do you do that? How do you achieve that sharpness level? But later on, I will be adding a lot more FX as I update the course. So I'm going to go ahead and label it sharpness. Go to FX, and that effect is called sharpen edges. So I will click and drag it on my node, and this is going to make the edges of my objects and subjects and everything in the video. So if I increase it, that just increases the sharpness of the objects outlines. So you'll see when I turn it off, this is how it looks. When I turn it on, this is how it looks. So I really like to play with it sometimes. Probably have it run up. I'll probably have it around 0.15. Zoom in, go to full view, and when I turn it off, it looks like this. When I turn it on, it gives it that extra edge. Another thing that I can do over here is go to the blur section, and this is the radius of the blur or sharpness. When I bring it down, it makes my video sharp. When I bring it up, it makes it blurry. So I sometimes also like to bring it down to 0.46 and see what it does to my video. I'm going to press enter. Full screen. This is how it looked before. This is how it looks with it. So these things basically dramatically change how my video looks on the screen, and my clients love it. And if you would try it, I think that would look great. You just have to see where you want to use it and how you're going to use it. So I hope you like this section, and this section is going to give your color grading and your videos that extra kick that it needs. So I hope you get to practice it, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so another effect that I use is halation. I don't use it too much, but it does come in handy. So that one is called halation, and I can type it in the search bar and then click and drag it onto my footage, onto my node, sorry. I'm going to turn off glow because sometimes it over-interact. But do you see how halation is being applied all over my footage? That also helps make things dreamy. When I'm working with videos where I'm editing short films and I have to make them look very dreamy, like especially when somebody's thinking about something in the past, from the past, that's when halation comes in handy. It also makes things a bit blurry because it adds those light lines and outlines across your footage on different parts of the subject and object. So threshold is how you can use it efficiently. If I bring up the threshold around 1, then it doesn't have a lot of effect. But if I bring it down, that's when it starts adding the glow. So I can stay somewhere around 0.32. Let's see. Yep. It's really light. I don't want it to be too much, so I'm going to bring it a little bit more upwards, probably towards 0.4. Zoom out and see how it's affecting my footage. Yep, there's a very slight effect. Let's see. We're here around the edge of the frame of the car. So that really depends on you. I'm going to bring it slightly downwards, very slightly. And now it's more visible. So sometimes I use it with glow, sometimes I don't. Like look around this edge. You'll see it appear. So I'm going to turn it on. See? So sometimes it does help, sometimes it doesn't. This is really done on a case-by-case basis. But this is also a very powerful effects that I can use. And I'm going to type it halation so that you remember. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it off because I don't really want to use it right now. Create a new node. Then we have film grain. Sometimes people ask me to add this to their short film projects and everything. So I'll show you how film grain works. You drag film grain on top of your video, and this is going to add a whole film grain, just like you used to have back in the movies. So see how it adds the film grain. And you can control the amount of it by playing with all of the settings over here. So if you bring up the opacity, it's going to be very evident. If you bring it down to 0, it's not going to be evident. We had it in the middle by default. Let me name the node. So that really depends on your taste and everything and how you want to go about it. You have different things like texture. You can play with that part. You can reset it, grain size. This is going to make the grains bigger. If you pull it down, it's going to make them smaller or probably just very small. So that really depends on how much you want it, softness and everything. I don't really use it too much. And let me show you what it's going to do when I play the video with the film grain on. It's going to have that little noisy feeling, that noisy visual. So let's take a look at it now. See? Just like noise, but better. So I don't really use it too much, but sometimes. But you can go ahead and play around with the settings, and that is really going to help you if you want to work with film grain. Now we're going to talk about how we are going to export all of these videos and everything that we've color graded and be able to send them to our clients. So the export section is over here. It's called Deliver. And the way you do it is, I will give you my settings. You don't have to get too worried about those because it's always going to be a little bit of experimentation. So whichever video you want to export, this is going to be the area that is going to highlight how much of the videos and which section is going to be exported. So first of all, let's say I want to export this one. I'm going to take my playhead and place it at the very beginning of the footage and press I on my keyboard. And then when I go to the very end, I can press O. So I means in, O means out. And then it's going to ask me what I want to name my video as. I'm going to say first render. And it will ask me where I want to export it. So let's say I want to export it to my desktop. I'm going to select desktop and hit save. So there are a few formats that I render it in. I don't really change any of these. I let it stay at QuickTime, especially for social media and everything. The thing that you need to keep in mind is H.264 and H.265. These are the ones that I work mostly with when I am working for social media and most of the other videos. So I usually use H.264 because that is readable by most of the devices and most of the computers, phones, and everything. H.265 is a later version and it's not readable by all of the devices. So you might not be able to view it on certain devices, which sometimes gives you a problem. But this gives you a lighter file size. However, I'm going to stick to H.264. And it's going to ask me what my resolution is. So remember how we check the resolution and set it in the beginning of the course? I have it at HD, so I can't really export it at 4K because my timeline is not 4K. If my timeline is in 4K, then I can reduce it to HD, but I have it in HD right now. So I usually go ahead and select this if I want to export it for social media. If I go anywhere above this level, Instagram is going to downgrade my videos and they're going to look blurry and they're going to lose quality. So I'm going to go ahead and select 1920 by 1080 HD. And I'm not going to touch this. The next thing it's going to ask me that I really need to take care of is the quality. So I want to make sure that for Instagram and YouTube and every other social media, I usually use 16,000 kilobytes per second. If I'm sending it to a client that is going to display, let's say, the food videos on their TV inside their restaurant, then I do 80,000. Because if it's really on the higher end for social media, then it's also going to bring down the quality of your video. So I'm exporting this for social media, so I'm going to keep it at 16,000. And remember, this is like sometimes a hit or a miss, it can change. So please go ahead and do your own experimentation and everything as well. Then I go to advanced settings. And this asks me for my project settings that I want to use when I'm exporting the video. This asks me for the settings that I want to use to export the video. So these are very important when I'm going to export my video. Color space, I select it as Rec 709. And gamma tag, I select as 2.4 or 2.2, depending on the project. But a lot of the times I also select 2.4 because 2.2 makes the video look lighter sometimes. Remember we discussed this in the very beginning of the course? So I'm exporting it for social media. I'm still going to go ahead and do gamma 2.4. And these are the settings that I need to take care of when I'm doing this. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click add to render queue. This is going to add it to the render queue. And then I'm going to go ahead and click render all. Now my video is being rendered. And once it's done, I just click the cross button so that I don't accidentally render it again when I'm rendering something else. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the video to my screen, and then let's see how it looks. So this is how it looks with Gamma 2.4. All right. And I want to show you Gamma 2.2 as well. So I'm going to call it first render number 2. Keep all of the settings the same, but change the Gamma to 2.2 and render it. Now that it's rendered, we can see the difference. So this is what the video is going to look like if you use Gamma 2.2. And then let's take a look at them side by side. Okay, so this is what Gamma 2.4 gives us. And this is what Gamma 2.2 gives us. I'm going to play both of them together. Let's see. So I like this one because it makes my video look more cinematic. Usually the videos that have darker exposure, slightly darker, they look more cinematic. So this one looks not too cinematic, even though I like the parts that are over here. But I like this one. So I would even sometimes use it for social media too. So you can go ahead and start rendering your videos. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I would be more than happy to answer.